going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
So we are back, ladies and gents, back with some DB and back doing some more testing now. Like I mentioned previously, it's been a little bit frustrating for myself just because I haven't been able to get to locals consistently. Like, I've been down to the shop where locals exist, but I just haven't been on the day when locals has been happening. Mainly because I've just been super busy. I've had a wedding to go to, I've been to the Commonwealth Games here in the UK. It's been absolutely crazy, but nonetheless, we're back doing some testing, and I do have a few decks that I do want to like potentially take to locals in the upcoming weeks to be able to kind of like get some proper testing in, because there's a few decks that I've got my eye on going forward, so we'll definitely see how that pans out. But nonetheless, we are here with one of my favorite decks at the moment, which is Dinomorphia, ladies and gents, and you already know how I feel about this deck. So I did manage to win the rock paper scissors after a few clashes. Let's turn this off, don't want no sound in here. And yeah, it's not a bad opening hand, to be honest. I started off obviously with the Sky Prison because I need to protect my back row at all costs. That's just like a given. I only play Sky Prison as a one-of, say Heavenly Lord of the Heavenly Prison, my bad, as a one-of, and it's a bit weird. Like, you could potentially put more in this deck, but I just feel like it's, to me, I just see it as an extra copy of one of my Dinomorphia spells or traps, because I like to see it in combination with a few traps which I've done here basically. So just going forward, decided to set a card, activate Diplos's effect in the main phase. That gets ashed, which I probably would not have done, especially with the way that Dinomorphia work. You do want to save your ash for the fusion trap, so not the most optimal of play for my opponent, but the chances are he hasn't really seen much of Dinomorphia being played, so yeah, it's a little bit rough. So anyway, set a couple, pass to his turn. He activates his Aluba in main phase. I proceed to chain my Frenzy. Now this is what he should have saved the Ash for, ladies and gents. Definitely this card. So Frenzy gets to resolve, and I actually just go straight into my Rexstem as he searches out his branded fusion. So I send my Stealth Bergia as well as my Theresia from my main deck, and I go straight into the Rexstem. Now, the reason I did this is because knowing that he's added the branded fusion, he's going to want to go into his Lubellion. Now, if I chain Rexstem now, there's a potential chance that he just won't be able to activate any card effects, because most of the monsters that he's going to be bringing out are going to be above 2000 attack, which means that their effects are just going to be turned off basically. And I just thought it would be the most optimal of play, so hence why I went for Rexstem. So when he does activate his branded fusion, I do chain Rexstem to basically pay half my life points to make everything on his field, or every monster on his field, have the same attack as my life points, which is the Aluba, which is only 2000, and it does kind of like try and mitigate some of the damage he could do to my my Diplos. But as you're going to see here, ladies and gents, he goes into Lubellion as I thought, resolves a few effects. He's trying to get his Tearelements plays off because he's actually playing branded Tearelements, which was a little bit of a shock, because when he started off with the Aluba, I started to think to myself, oh, is this pure? But then he did hit a couple of his Tearelements cards, which was like, oh, okay. But he decides not to attack over the Diplos, probably fearing that it would flow into the Theresia, which would then net me some more advantage. So that was quite clever on his part. However, still in his main phase, which I shouldn't have said, I should have actually called end phase, I decided to activate Ferret Flames, which should make him shuffle back at least both of his fusion monsters, which would leave me in a much more commanding position, because he needs to shuffle back monsters to make sure that his attack equals or is lower than my life points, which is at 2000 at the moment. So both of his fusion monsters will definitely have to go, and his Aluba will stay basically. So after that, he decides to concede. There was not much he could do there, and I was at too much advantage. So going into game 2, obviously I'm going second, and I open the nuts, mainly because I actually opened evenly matched, which was one of the cards I sided in. I think I sided in like 2 evenly matched and I think a alpha of Master of Beasts, and it was enough, to be honest, because I managed to see. So starts off his plays, I kind of just let everything resolve, because I know that evenly matches in my hand. I kind of just let him do what he's supposed to be doing. So He's hitting loads of Tearelements plays here. Meryl, I think he opened a Rhino Heart. So he's going to get most of his combo to resolve here. Goes into the Kit Kalos, which should net him a search, I believe. Yep. So just going through his Tearelements plays here. Again, just doing whatever he likes. Now, I potentially could have ashed it, but I also know that ash is not really much of a significant hand trap unless it's paired with something else. So I was kind of holding the ash for the branded fusion. So still carrying on with his Tearelements plays here. Kit Kalos hit the graveyard, and I think it allows you to mill 5 or something like that. So he does have a lot going on right here. He's going for a lot of his effects. Now, at some stage, I was thinking to myself, right, his card advantage in his hand is looking kind of low, and he hasn't really made much of a board. Should I ash this Desires? And I thought, nope, I'm going to let him just draw 2, so he's got like a little bit of a false sense of security. And I was hoping that he was drawing into a branded fusion here, just to be able to kind of like pop off with his plays. So he proceeds to set 1. Now, obviously, I've got evenly matched. He did forget to put his Predaplant Dragostapalia on the board because he shuffled back one of his Tearelements monsters as well as a Dark monster, which he does proceed to do, which was a little bit cheeky because realistically, if this was like high rated, I could have just sharked him and said, no, you missed the timing of when that went on. But I wasn't too fussed, ladies and gents, mainly because I just drew into a Lightning Storm, so his whole board is just going to go right now. So go straight into battle phase. Drop the evenly matched. It's not even a thought process here because I know that he's not going to be maining Judgment. So drop the evenly matched. He could have potentially had the Tearelements spell or trap negate, but in this instance he did not. So a couple of misclicks here. I think he kind of like banished it and then he put it back into his deck, but managed to resolve the evenly matched. And then straight into main phase 2, I decided to just pop his Predaplant Dragostapalia with the Lightning Storm, and I'm just free to basically just do what I want. So normal summon Theresia, set the Sonic because I've already got the Frenzy in hand, so I'm definitely going to go into my Rexterm at some point, as well as having the spell trap negate. So pass it back over to him. He decides to lead with the branded fusion. Now, this is why I held the ash, because I know ash is quite a strong response in terms of its interaction with branded fusion, and I knew, well, I say I knew, but the Desires that resolved on his previous turn wasn't actually doing as much as I thought it was going to do. So it kind of paid off the way that I played this. Now, normally you would ash the Desires. You don't want them to get another couple of cards into their hand, but because I had the evenly matched, I was a little bit comfortable in letting him just do whatever he wanted, just to be able to kind of like commit more to the board so I could break it a little bit more easily. So he does activate the branded fusion. That's obviously going to get met with the ash. He normal summons the Albaz, pitches the polymerization. Now obviously he could fuse into whatever here and just be able to pop off, but I do go into the, well, I do have the Brute set, so I decide to pop his Albaz as well as pay half my life points to pop the Theresia. Proceeds to set 1. And I just kind of like let him know and said, look, still in your main phase, mate. Before you pass turn, I'm going to fuse for you know what to come in here, ladies and gents. And he decides to concede. So that was that. Pretty quick match, to be honest. It probably wasn't as interactive as I would liked, but I just actually drew the nuts. Like, my opponent really couldn't do much, and it just goes to show, like, Dinomorphia and trap cards in general are a strong tech, especially against some of these like Tearelements and Sprite boards. If you've got a couple of Solemn Strike set and they try to chain some kind of negation to one of your monster effects, you can just kind of like shut off the chain link. And with the way that traps are at the moment, they're super powerful. I mean, you can do a lot of what the combo players do, but just over a longer period of time, if you get what I'm saying. So definitely something worth considering if you just want to play a anti-meta deck. So yeah, is what it is. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. As always, if you do like this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that beautiful good stuff, and I would definitely see you guys on the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.